Hey guys, what is going on? So glad you're here for another episode. It is me, Josh, with Impact, and boy, am I excited to show you this episode. I interviewed Nick Perry, who is based out of Austin, Texas, but wholesales nationwide in, I think, all 50 states. He's doing over $300,000 gross per month in wholesale fees alone. And as I record this right now, I saw a Facebook notification that I think last week he did about $262,000 gross profit in 1 week. And boy, does he bring the fire and drop the gold nuggets on this episode. In this episode, I uncover a few things. It takes him less than 20 leads to get one deal. We talk about his pay-per-click. We talk about several other strategies, including his disposition strategy. And then one of my favorite stories that he tells in this episode is how he went on for a really, really long time trying to get a deal and never being able to get a deal. And guess what? He kept going and then finally broke through. So I think there's a lot to be learned from this episode, and I'm super excited to have you here. And I'm really excited to hear about your favorite parts at the end. So after you hear the whole episode, drop below in the comments your favorite gold nugget or your favorite lesson that you're going to take away and implement in your own business. As always, I look forward to you reaching out and let me know what else you'd like me to cover on this channel. Thanks, guys. Hope you have a great one. Enjoy this episode. Guys, thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to the Lead Gen Underground. Thanks for being back. Most everyone here are repeat viewers and members. As you guys know, we stick to only 30 minutes so we can really jam-pack all the gold nuggets and the good info. And the man of the hour is Nick Perry. You're located in Austin, right?
That's correct. Yep. Austin, Texas.
Dude, that's awesome. So I know a lot of the people on here know you, but give us just like a 30-second intro about yourself and then what your team looks like now, man.
Yeah, grew up in Northern Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. Spent the first 25 years of my life there and decided to move to Austin. So spent, basically 25 years to really figure out what I was doing. When I moved to Austin, that was kind of a transitional period for me. I had to figure out, like, what's going to be my next move, and I found wholesaling through YouTube and, tried and failed for 11 straight months until I got my first deal. And then, basically I had a full-time job at Indeed.com. I took, really crushed it there in sales and took, all my nights and all my weekends, building up my real estate business. I spent, 2 years at Indeed, doing the corporate thing and the real estate thing until I finally got the real estate to where I was making more money than my 9-to-5. And that was in early 2017, like February 2017. I jumped ship full time, and then it's been history from there. So I have 11 employees. I'm looking around right now doing a head count on everybody, but COO, who's been with me for 5 years, he's phenomenal. And then below that we have 3 dispositions, and then we have 6 acquisitions. So that's kind of
incredible.
Yep.
I'm up in Maryland, so I know I read you were from Leesburg, so not far down the road at all. And I was actually watching your interview with Josh and I forget the other guy from DMV Dealmakers. That was a super interview talking about your background in Indeed. And I found out from on that interview that, dude, you went on something like 104 or 108 appointments and got told no 108 times in a row, and you kept going until you got your first contract. Is that right?
Yeah, man, I was in too deep to quit. You know what I mean? So I was like, dude, I'm already in deep. Like, I'm going to prove this out, whether it, kills me or not. But I just stuck with it.
Man, that's like a legendary story right there, because literally 99.9% of people would have given up if they would have hit 6 figures or if they would have hit 100 appointments without ever getting a contract. But you kept going, and then look at you now. That's amazing.
Well, yeah, I was told early there's a 99% failure rate. So I was very determined not to fall into that 99%. So I was like, I'm going to go until I'm successful at this, no matter what.
Dude, that is really insane. You have some kind of work ethic and drive. What does a typical month look like for you guys in terms of leads? Tell me how many leads you guys are typically getting, like in a month or maybe even a week, however you want to break it down.
Yeah, I run everything by the week. So weekly we'll do between I can take a look real quick. So like last week we had 326 leads. The week before that we had 342. So between 300 and 350 a week is the amount of leads we generate for the team.
Dude, that's serious. That's 60, 70 leads a day. That's serious.
Yeah, that's about right. 60 to 70 a day.
Wow, amazing. And I know you're doing a lot of pay-per-click. Is most of that from pay-per-click?
Yeah, everything we do is digital online. So, you know, Facebook, Instagram, Google, Bing. Um, that's our bread and butter. I've done, every different marketing channel out there, and that's really just kind of what resonates with me and how I like to market.
Why do you think that is? Is it just a better fit when someone's clicking on your landing page or your ad? Are they just more ready to sell their house than perhaps direct mail or maybe a cold call?
Yeah, I mean that's really the conversion piece of it. I pay higher cost per lead than SMS or cold calling, but what I look at is it takes me 1 in 17 leads to convert a deal, as opposed to with SMS or cold calling where the cost per lead is much cheaper, but it takes 40 to up to 60 leads, right? So it's not only what's your return on investment, but what's your return on time and what's your return on energy, for your team. That's a big component of it. So you
Man,
kind of
that's amazing.
demoralize them, by just wearing them out with, sellers saying no all day.
Dude, that is amazing what you just said right there, because everyone is talking about amount of leads, right? And then, of course, cost per lead and then cost per deal. But when you're talking about the amount of time and energy that you're putting into those, and to be able to lower it like you have to like 1 in 17 equals a deal, I think that's got to be a big morale booster for your team, just keeping them super hungry because they know the next deal is like literally right around the corner.
Yeah, I calculate how many man hours does it take me to get a contract, right? So that's important to me. If my guys are working, through 40 leads, it's going to take much longer than 17 leads, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah,
And so what's your biggest driver right now? Is it Google, is it Facebook, or is it Bing?
uh, Facebook and Google by far. Bing's, it's a much smaller segment, but it kicks off consistent leads. I'm happy with Bing. I've been running Bing for years and years, but it's not like a scalable, digital marketing platform that you can run a big operation off of.
Yeah, definitely. And so like we're just starting into PPC in the past few months. We've had really good results so far. Really good results so far. What would you tell some of the people on the call right now who just want to start out in PPC? Because I know you manage it yourself, and I heard you say before that every time you've kicked it out to be managed by someone else, the results have just been subpar as compared to you when you're managing it. So what are some of the principles you follow when managing your PPC?
Yeah, so I went through Dan Barrett and AdWords Nerds. I took his. This was back in 2014. I stalked him down before he was even on the map. He was just kind of putting out some YouTube videos. And I was like, this guy's really good. So I skipped out on a work trip to go, hunt him down. I rented a car from New York City, went up to Connecticut. I was like, dude, you got to teach me. And that's kind of when he put together his course. So I was one of his first students, and his fundamentals and his foundation of the way that he manages PPC is phenomenal. But in terms of having him manage it, I think that component really needs to fall on somebody internally, whether it be yourself or a COO, or if you have a CMO. You're going to get much better results, in my opinion. I've used Lightmark Media, I've used them, AdWords Nerds, handful of others, and they just don't have the same investment as you do. They don't have as much skin in the game. So I've really found that it's not that hard. You can learn it. I mean, if you guys are doing properties, you can learn how to do PPC. We're not doing brain surgery. I will tell you, with PPC, you've got to make some counterintuitive judgment calls sometimes. Like for instance, like in my campaign, with the search term, sell my house fast, you would think that that's a phenomenal thing you'd want to show up for. But in my campaigns, I've noticed like the cost per lead on that is stupid. And then there's some other search terms that I wouldn't even have thought of that would be yielding a good return. So you have to make data-driven decisions when managing PPC. Never go off a feel. Always go off of what the data is telling you, and make sure you have statistically significant enough results to take away keywords or add make changes in your account.
That's awesome. Are there certain tools that you're using to research keywords or phrases in your market and your competitors as well?
What you're going to notice is like when you first start your campaign, you could see what all the people are searching in through the search terms field. But what you're going to want to do is, at the beginning, I'll do like a phrase match or a broad match campaign to basically just drive a bunch of, search term traffic to see what people are actually typing in on the internet. Because you can use, Google search, keyword planner. You can, copy from other people's accounts and things like that. But there's nothing like the real world to tell you what, what is important to people. So, once you have that search term data, you can add those as like exact match keywords that you can continue to, show up for time and time again.
That's awesome right there. Are you driving them to, like a lot of people are using Carrot, right? We've gotten really poor results, truthfully, when we've tried to drive PPC traffic to Carrot to convert. What pages are you driving to? A specific landing page software, or how do you guys work that?
Yeah, my site's built on WordPress. I've got, some really badass hosting on there. If you're going to build a site, make sure you don't, pay for like, $4 like HostGator, because that is what usually slows a lot of people's sites down. So I pay I think it's like $100 quarterly for the hosting on my website, but that significantly increases my page speed. And you got to know, like right now, 2020, page speed's everything. If you got a slow ass page, forget it. People are going to go to your site and they're going to bounce. So yeah, it's just making sure you have a fast page. My site's built on WordPress. I used Magnus Digital, or Gold Level Media. Efren Portillo, he's a CEO there. You guys could check him out if you're looking for a site built. I mean, it's not going to be cheap, but he does quality work. I think I pay like $2,500 for my site, but well worth the investment.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you're targeting all across the U.S. Are you targeting by state, or is it just U.S. in general for your PPC ads?
Yeah, I run blanket across the United States. So, we've got deals. I got a deal in Hawaii right now. I've got, deals literally all over the place. So
in Hawaii,
yeah,
that's wild, man.
Mm-hmm.
Someone asked, Nick, any examples of phrases that have a lower cost per lead?
Like the term cash house buyers, I don't know why that's, really good for motivated sellers, but that one converts well. Obviously you have all the generic ones, the we buy houses, the we buy ugly houses, things like that. Those, historically do decent. So I would, just dig around and, another thing that you will notice is Google is good about giving you recommendations for keywords. And I've built the majority of the keywords that are in my campaign. I've got over 6,000 of them. And that came through recommendations from Google. So I'm like, all right, you know what, that sounds like a good keyword, add it in there. And then we'll see how it goes, right? My kind of rule of thumb is if it's got over 25 clicks with no conversions, it's time to kill it.
Wow. So you have over 6,000 words, 6,000 keywords. And then if you get over 25 clicks, but no conversions, you write it off.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow. That's gold right there. Okay. Good segue. Let's go into acquisitions here. One of the biggest questions that I get from other people is like, Josh, traditionally we go on appointments, man. How do you do it over the phone? And I think it's a lot of people that I've talked with, it's a mental block that they can't get themselves past. You're taking it to another level, not just going from in-person to virtual in your own market, but you're across the US. How in the heck does that work, dude, in terms of finding out comps and ARV and exit strategy, in terms of buying it at a low enough price up front?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that wouldn't have really worked even 5 years ago, but now with the, data and tools that we have, access to, you don't have to geographically limit yourself to, your backyard or even just one market. I don't have MLS anywhere.
Wow.
So, the tools that we use to comp properties, we use Zillow. We use the sold data on Zillow. We also look at the for sales and pendings because that's going to tell you activity and how a market's performing. And then we also use PropStream. We'll cross-reference with PropStream a lot of times. And those are the two main tools. I mean, I've subscribed to every tool out there at one point in time or another, but those are the tools that work for us day in and day out.
Get out of town. So you're just using Zillow and PropStream to run comps to price all your properties.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean Zillow, like if you guys have been in this industry more than a couple of years, like we would clown Zillow, pretty hard, back in the day. But now their algorithm and their data has definitely stepped up. I mean, they're the biggest player in the game. Their data is pretty solid. So, we used to use like Redfin and stuff like that. We just use Zillow now. So Zillow and PropStream.
Guys, there's literally no excuses. Listen to Nick right now. He's using PropStream, $100 a month, and Zillow, a free tool that everyone's got access to do deals. And what, you've done deals in like 42 states or something like that?
I think it's more than that now. We have a map in the office, and so anytime we close a deal, we'll put it in there. And I know we've added a couple new states in the past few weeks. So.
Dude, that's wild. I only know like maybe 2 other people that are doing them in that many states. And that's like next level to me, man. That's like mind blowing how you can just take that knowledge and expand it out so widely. Because I know the country is just crazy different in different markets.
It is. And that's, it took me a long time to get to this point. I dropped so many contracts in the beginning because, markets are completely different, right? If you're from Phoenix, Arizona, and you see a house in St. Louis that's renting out for $1,000 a month and it's $10K, you might be like, oh, that's a no-brainer deal. But what you got to realize is like those houses are a dime a dozen. So you have to really start understanding markets and sub-markets, and we've just got good at that from screwing up a 1,000 times.
Sure, absolutely. And so when you're talking about acquisitions, do you guys have anyone that's prospecting for you, or are you just doing everything inbound and that goes right to your acquisition floor?
Everything is inbound right to our acquisition floor. So it round robins through our podio and then goes to our acquisitions, and that's how they have their book of business. And then I have 2 departments in acquisitions. I have senior acquisitions, those are the closers, and then I have junior acquisitions. Those are the guys that are following up with people we couldn't get on the phone, reaching out to the thousands and thousands of leads in our external database to get them re-engaged in the process, and they'll live transfer it over to our senior acquisitions team to evaluate the property and close the deal.
So it sounds like the junior guys are the ones doing all the follow-up for you?
Yeah, and they crush like that. Junior acquisitions, it's an engine. I mean, they did 10. We had 12 contracts last week. 10 of them came over from junior acquisitions.
Get out of town. And so I know you come from the background of Indeed. You came from Indeed, right? And so you're very well versed in hiring, in that sales. I know you talked about Indeed being, a world-class sales organization. For some of us who are looking to hire in acquisitions right now, in your opinion, what makes someone good in acquisitions? What kind of background or what kind of skills do you think really makes someone good in your organization?
Yeah, I'm looking for people that come from like a heavy commission-based sales job, right? So if you're recruiting for, sales acquisitions, you're going to get all kinds of different people that apply to your positions. Some of them are going to come from heavy commission-only sales experience, like, car sales, timeshares. I've one of my top closers, he was a bartender before he was doing this at like a fancy hotel. So they've got to have really good interpersonal skills. I like when they've got a, job before that had heavy commissions or heavy tips involved, right? Sure. And the reason I keep saying heavy commissions or heavy tips is because those people know how to survive in that atmosphere. Like if you get, a sales rep that, was working at Accenture or Dell or Facebook with, a big salary and a 401k and all these benefits, they're not going to be really feeling, how we pay our people. So you got to keep that in mind.
I hear you there. So what does it take for someone to move from junior into senior?
Well, I just promoted a guy last week from the junior department, and he actually went to disposition. So he was excelling on the phones. His attitude, his work ethic, the way he conversated with people, his common sense, his judgment, all of that was lining up. And so, we had him slotted for that promotion, and we moved him over last week. So it was a big win for him. But those are the characteristics, his hustle, judgment, work ethic, sales acumen.
Sure, absolutely. When someone comes in, inbound lead comes in, what kind of information are you guys asking on the phone right away? And how long of a conversation is that initial conversation? Like, what's that flow look like for you guys?
Yeah, the first call is, rapport building and fact finding with the seller, basically understanding their situation, figuring out what their, issue is and how can we solve it. And then, we're really just taking the information in our acquisitions never comes from a decision maker standpoint. It's always, hey, let me, get as much information as I can so I can take it over to our underwriter. And then, once I can get them to approve it, we'll go ahead and move forward. And they're getting, basically on that first call that lasts, anywhere from 7 to 15 minutes, they're getting all the information about the house, the rapport with the seller, and they're getting a soft verbal commitment from them, not only on price, but on time, right? They'll say, hey, I think our underwriter will probably be between like 50 and 70,000 on this. If I can get him to approve that, are you ready to move forward today? And if they give you the green light, then we'll, get off the phone with them, and we'll make sure we schedule, a time, 15, 20 minutes in the future, preferably, to get them in front of their computer or their smartphone to DocuSign that contract.
Right on. So you're purposely breaking it into a couple conversations. And then the second one, you're making sure that they have access to the computer right at that time so they can look at DocuSign while you're on the phone with them?
Correct. Yeah, you never send a DocuSign out without them being in front of a device. Because the reason is that's the fastest way to get ghosted, and it's the fastest way for them to shop your offer. Ask me how I know.
Mike Flores said that's gold right there, and that is so true, man. That is one thing that I'm going to change and implement immediately, because we're sending DocuSigns over and letting people chill with it where I know we shouldn't be. That's gold.
So, yeah, man, just ask them, hey, are you going to be in front of your email in the next 15, 20 minutes? If they say, no, I'm working or whatever, all right, awesome. What about this evening, when you get off? Till 6 p.m. All right, cool. I'll give you a call at 6 p.m. Do not send that DocuSign until you got them in front of their email.
Dude, that's great right there. And so Drew asks, are you buying buyers lists in other states or just marketing on Facebook, Craigslist ads, and like Zillow ads?
No, it's all buyers lists. So, throughout the years, I've basically, just bartered and bought a ton of different wholesalers lists. Additionally, I've, pulled all the realtors from all over the country, and, I built a scraper tool that would go in and poach buyers out of people's ads on Facebook. And so, I was able to build a pretty cool scraper tool that would rip out all the contact information. So that's really, I think it's like 2.5 million buyers, something like that. It's in
Get out of
multi-millions, but that's how I accumulated them all. I don't post on Craigslist or anything like that. No.
You don't, you just direct email?
We do text. We text out to them with the goal of getting them, once we have a positive response on a text, like, yeah, what's the address, or, whatever, our guys are trying to pick up the phone and, carry that dialogue on and progress the conversation.
Got it. Okay. That's a good point to move into disposition, because obviously you guys can move some properties and you got some properties to move. So in the dispositions department, you just said you're sending all your deals out via text. When they respond, you're then calling them, right? So what's that?
Yeah, but it's not your typical text like, 123 Main Street, ARV this, repairs this. It's like, hey, Josh, I just got a property in Maryland. I need to get it moved ASAP. Give me a call when you get a sec.
Get out of town.
Right. And then what happens is when you blast that out to, 1,000 people, the freaking phone melts.
Oh man, God, I got to tell you, that is absolute gold right there, guys. If you're listening to this in the future, rewind and listen to that again. I've literally never heard this approach before. So when he's dispoing his deals, he's not sending it out via email first. He's sending it out via text. And it's not listing out the property, but it's like a personal text, like, hey, I got a deal, I got to move it, call me up. And so people are calling you back in. And then how do you guys then move the property? Do you have showing, or do you have a lockbox out there? Are you working with
I mean, you get all sorts of different situations. So, that's part of the initial setting expectations with the sellers. We collect photos from them before we do all the text blast. We'll collect photos from them. We'll figure out what the access is. So, hey, are you going to be, when are you available? Is there a lockbox on the property? So whatever the situation is, if they say, I can only do it on Tuesday night. All right, well, then we're going to make sure that we do our marketing in advance to nail Tuesday night and get everybody out there. And we'll tell the seller, hey, we're going to try to get everybody there at one time. So, we don't need to keep coming back and forth. And then, after that's done, hopefully we'll be going to closing after that. So that's how we stage it up with the seller.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So how do you tee up expectations with them? Do you let them know that it's not you purchasing it, or how does that work for you guys?
No. So we'll tell them, I mean, we got the property under contract with a memorandum of option. So, if you or any cash buyer, is interested, then let's get them out there. I'm happy to pay a commission. We'll mark it up. I sell a lot of deals through realtors. So say I'm selling a property and I want to net 100 grand. Well, I'm going to tell the realtor it's 103 grand, right, to compensate for their 3% commission.
You build that in.
I don't tell them tack your fee on top or anything like that, because it just makes their head explode. Just talk the lingo they want to talk. 3%, fine, whatever. I'm just going to mark it up 3% to get it done.
That's awesome right there. Okay. And so Daniel asked, when disposing your deal, are you going off a first come, first serve basis, or are you looking for the best price and you put like a deadline on it, or how does that look for you guys?
Yeah, typically like when we do one of those showings, we'll tell them, all right, so, be out there, 1:00 on Saturday. Make sure you're there on time. It's going to end promptly at 1:30. Make sure you wear a mask. Don't touch anything. If you have any questions about the property, let me know. This lady's, she's being nice enough to, let you in on the Saturday. So as soon as you finish up, give me a call. First, we'll either do it one of two ways. We'll say either highest and best offer by 4 p.m. will be awarded the property, or first come, first serve. First person with earnest money and assigned assignment is going to be awarded the property. It depends on how hot the deal is and things like that.
Got it. That's awesome. So a few people are asking, how do you set the expectations when you're sending the buyers through? Are you ever telling them it's contractors, or are you just telling them straight up that these are other like partners or something that you work with?
They're always our partners.
Always.
So we tell the seller, hey, our local partners are going to be coming out. They think that they're the ones that are going to be completing the rehab, and we're partnered up with them somehow. So it makes sense. And then as long as you keep your freaking, buyers in check and the realtors in check, then you're good. So
yeah, definitely. I've noticed that myself as well. All right, we're coming to the very back end of this now. So I noticed on other interviews before, and even in the Yahoo Finance article, they talked about you saying that you want to be the number one home buyer or the number one home buying company in the nation, and then you're even getting into commercial. Talk to me a little bit about that, like how you set that goal. What does that look like, and how do you work toward that?
I mean, right now we're just getting started. So it took me 6 years to get to this point where I've got a large profitable organization, but I'm only 31. So, I don't plan on retiring anytime soon. And I'm just going to keep working until I get there. My whole thing is like, if you're going to dedicate your entire life to something, like you strive to be the very best at it. Right. So, it's, a personal goal for me. I know there's a lot of, really, really good investors out there. And then you start getting into the commercial realm. I mean, you're talking, billionaires and things like that. So, that's what excites me. That's what gets me up, is I have, just that drive and competitive nature to go out there and, you know, give it hell and do my best and try to take over the freaking world. So,
dude, that's awesome. What kind of volume do you think it would take to be the number one home buying company like in the country?
I mean, for wholesaling, I don't think we're too far off. You know, but if you were to take like you know, if I'm looking at like Open Door or something like that, it's going to take a lot. I mean, those guys crank it out. But in terms of like wholesaling, I'm sure we're getting up there. You know, I don't keep exact score or tabs on anybody. It's really just a, you know, competition with myself. But I know we're doing pretty well in the wholesaling ranks. In terms of commercial, that's a whole nother beast, man. I mean, you got freaking, you know, groups out there doing, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars. So
Absolutely.
that's the next mountain I'd like to work on conquering in my 40s and 50s.
That's incredible, man. Rick, he already said he's got, I think, 6 acquisition and 3 dispo. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. 2 more questions real quick. Who have been some of the biggest influences on you in your life and your career in real estate so far?
Sean Terry. I mean, that was my original, OG mentor right there. That's what really got me started, was getting hooked up with him. Big shout out to Sean Terry. I'm still really close friends with him. We talk, on the phone every couple of weeks just to see how things are going. And then, Brad Chandler, he's there in Northern Virginia. He's like an uncle to me. He's a little bit older. He's been around for a long time, super successful in the business. He's had a big impact. But I learned from everybody. So, those are a couple of people that stand out top of mind. But, if I had to give like a list of credits to everybody that's poured into me and helped me over the years, we'd be on here for the next hour.
Dude, that's amazing right there. It just shows that how humble you are. I really like that. Daniel says, when you're leading a wholesale company, as the CEO, what are your main responsibilities besides raising private funds?
I mean, my job is basically at this point, I'm the full-time cheerleader. Essentially, is I'm coming in and pouring into my guys and helping out where I can, because really I don't need to be here, but I'm here every single day, and the reason is because I'm the leader, right? So I don't want them thinking like, hey, I can call off, like Nick's not even showing up to the office anymore. Like, nah, I'm gonna try to do more than my guys. So even though my day might not be packed with busy work, I'm making strategic decisions throughout the day on, hey, what are we going to do in terms of raising money? How are we going to push the envelope? Are we going to hire more people? Or how are we going to increase marketing? I'm spending time, doing a lot of financial aspects, and really, just pumping my guys up. Hey, how's it going? Pouring into them. That's really, really important as well. So, I do that quite a bit. That's kind of my full-time role at this point.
Dude, that's amazing. And last one, besides just real estate, what is your BHAG, your big, hairy, audacious goal? Why do you do all this? What do you want to do with your life, or what is that BHAG in life for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I grew up not really having much. I grew up from 14 to, basically 18. I was on my own. I lived in a one-bedroom apartment in the hood, sleeping on a couch from the time I was 14 years old. So, seeing poverty like firsthand, and crime and all that, I knew like, man, this is bullshit. I don't want to have freaking money problems. Like, that is not going to be a part of my life. No way, shape, or form. So, really it's to, be able to not ever have to worry about money, period, just because I went through the trauma of being, broke and poor growing up. But I also want, to be able to have, the ability to do what I want, when I want, with the people I want to do it, and not be, a slave to anybody.
That's amazing right there. Well, guys, we've hit our 30 minutes and gone a few minutes over. Nick, thank you so much, man. Where can everyone find you, follow you? What would you like everyone to, where would you like them to follow you?
Yeah, I mean, you can connect with me on Instagram, at Nick Perry, REI. You can connect with me there. I'm pretty good on Instagram. Facebook, not so much. I log on there maybe once a day to check messages and things like that. But if you want to connect with me, I got IG on my phone and stuff like that. So Happy to help.
Dude, that's amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being a go-giver. That was just a kick-ass interview. I already have people messaging me saying that's pure gold right there. So thank you so much, man. We really appreciate you. Guys, if you enjoyed it today, go out and follow Nick on Instagram and go tell your friends about the group. See you guys all next week. Thanks so much, Nick. I really appreciate you, man.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.